Spiritual Sunday afternoon. And so
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it inside? Yeah, yeah. It's inside. I have just to wait in the other room. You can turn it off if you want.
here, some greetings from Chico, chapter 107, entitled Timothy, his first letter to Timothy. Compassion and contentment is a great theme. Much is said about compassion. When we make references to this virtue, it is hard to distinguish between compassion and lowering oneself. Yes, thank you. I'll help this man, but he's an addict. This woman, but she's ignorant and favored. Take pity on this brother, but he's cruel and ungrateful. Feel for this person, but he's no good. Such statements are repeated all the time by lips that claim to be Christian. In fact, on earth, we normally encounter only the compassion of this compassion dispenses uninterested with calm on in arms and charges payment for recognition. Rescues and then pummels, and supports, then discourages. Offers kind words, then hurls hostile retorts. It appeases the hungry, it appeases the hunger of life's travelers with loaves full of bile. True compassion, however, is the God of love that wastes no time pointing out evil. It is concerned too much with the good to trade it for trifles, and it knows that each minute of the economy of life is precious. The gospel does not refer to the false compassion full of illusions and demands. Those who display enough strength to embrace the Christian life find the resources to assist joyfully. They do not get caught in the web of destructive criticism, and they know how to sow the good, water its seeds, tend its shoots, wait its fruitage. It tells us that compassion with contentment is a great gain for the soul. And honestly, we know of no other that can bring prosperity to one's spirit.
So now our prayer. What a blessing, our Lord of life, the gift of being here, surrounded by illuminated by spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists, the teachers of the people, who love us all so dearly, and in your name have come to deliver the energy medicine that we need for the mind and the body. And we, every in our lives, also this place. And feel the sweet and calm knowledge of the love permeating their heart, soften their emotions and their feelings of compassion. Visualize everyone who has their names in the book of prayer receiving your visit so that you make the decisions of everyone. You also visualize friends who were not able to come, so they were ill. May they receive the remedy of your love, to God, for the gift of this day and every day. And into this meeting, therapeutic and educational, under your guidance, God, and so I can't spoil the surprise of what's going to happen. But here we're going to talk about the creative power. Okay? So let's go inside. Miss Daisy is here. I'm waiting for you guys. I'm just going to give a hand and I'll be right there. All right. Okay. Our topic is deep, very deep. Come on. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? We're gonna stay here. All right. Let me just share this with you so people can see We're gonna today. Today we are scheduled to talk about something we had inside of us that make us co-creators, not only physically, spiritually speaking. You and I are divine beings. We were created by God, not by our parents. Our parents were instruments of the physical body and they're blessed. But we are children of God. And God is so fascinating that He made us not like robots. This is the difference. When you train machines, you know, if you study machine learning, it's limited. Talk about robots taking over this. That's the common sense. No? They depend on us. We're not God. That's only gonna happen when we become gods. And I say this because I'm taking courses on this, and you can say, yes, guys, we promise we're gonna fix this. We're fixing some computers inside, and this is gonna be fixed at some point. Thank you, Carlos. So, machine learning is very limited. Think about this. God created us, and we think in images. We don't think in binary codes. Huh? How can robots be superior? Never. We are training them to think, generate images. They don't know how to do that. They need to process binary. Why we're saying this? Because the more we learn about machines, the more we know of ourselves. It's interesting because in the field of neuroscience, we learn they even copied one of the expressions in neuroscience, neural networks, and processing of machine learning. But we are so fascinating that God created us in such a way that if we make efforts, we can co-create with. How does this happen? We don't know because we need to work stronger in our intelligence to understand how this happens. The more we evolve, the more we understand, and the more we process it. So we are so powerful in our faith, force, given by God. We're so powerful that we are vessels of new. And if we see history, look where we are today. Look at the advancements. I know morally we're still falling short. I know, morally speaking, we're still slow, but intellectually, materially, we have evolved so much thanks to this good news that it all brings people in see kings and queens, princes and princesses. The continuation of kingdoms depend on the heirs, right? And it was such a big deal that even the religious system changed in England because of that. If we look back in time, now we're like, oh, we value having children more than we did before. Before, it was just convenience. Before, ancient times, why did we get together? Possibly one, pure passion. Why we get together? One. Why did we make family? Out of convenience. Why matchmaking all the way. Oh, the math. If you get married to that, you get their inheritance, you join longer. And that's how it's been since ancient. When we realize the power of this togetherness, we start cultivating. And that created emotion in our lives. We reincarnated time and again using our spouses and our children for convenience. Today, it's changing. Not everywhere, because there are parts of the world where this is too. But we are changing little by little. Now people want to get married out of love. Some, not everybody. Some people care about money, position, and power. But many people are thinking like, "I wanna love and be loved." That's progress. When it comes to go to the dating apps, as a psychologist, I have to know this. When people talk about it, this is the era of dating apps. And it's not that bad, you know why? Because when you create a profile, you have to think, like going to a bar, you don't need to think. You go to a party, you go to a meeting, you don't need to think, I'm going to find somebody. But if you have to enter a profile in a dating app, you have to think, which picture can I see the picture? Lord. I have friends who have dating apps. Oh man. Why would you take a picture with the child if the child is not? So that's somebody who's manipulating you from the get-go. You need to understand. If this guy is showing a picture of a baby that is not his to show that he's so loving you, caring, oh my, manipulated, manipulative. They, they have dogs. They have dogs, great. I like dogs, but I don't have dogs, but I take a picture with a dog. Yeah. And the pictures. Some people barely know, and they say, "Oh, this is what people tell about me." It shows that you don't know yourself. So the good thing about these apps is that people have to see who they are, and they have to learn how to figure out who the other one is based on what they show. Why we're saying this? Because many people get married, they're past that time, they're like, "Why do I care about this? Oh, our children are going to get this. God knows how it's going to be for some of us." But different family. And we're talking about how we connect with people. We need to learn to hopefully the apps are gonna be there and they're gonna be more helpful because overall it's so stressful for people nowadays. People in some cases, especially in America, lost touch of this going on, especially hesitation. Exactly. People don't even know. And so we need to teach our children. You know, they come in the center, they're shy in the morning. Hello, hello. Look at them in the eyes. Hello. look at people it's the human touch. But why we're saying this? Because everything begins in our lives with two people getting together. We have a baby, boom, new life. Our co-creative power responds to co-creating everything in our life, including forming a new life, a family. Okay? So to further understand this, it's gonna be a easy, I assure you. We started with compassion, we will end with compassion. Okay? Don't worry, nobody's going to push buttons to you, but we're gonna be, this is especially here for the SSVA, 18 years. Twice a month we distribute a book or a magazine. So we see the power of this in our lives. We're giving to you a magazine. We're already in issue 69 coming up in April. This is issue 7. It was in 2010. But this issue especially has two major interviews, one with Divaldo Franco and the other one that we did with Richard Simonet. Is this carnated about this connection with people? So we're going to distribute this. Can we do it? Okay. And if there's anything more, and for those who are online, I'm showing you it's on this magazine. So this, this has so many, this issue in particular has so many, thank you, John, thank you, Paula, so many important articles that will lead us into greater understanding. As you can see, oh, straight. He talks about our co-creative work. As you can see, and I'm flipping the pages here, this is one interesting article for us. Richard Simonetti was one, and he's still living in the spiritual realm, but when he was incarnated, he was a scholar in Spiritism, a Spiritist writer. He wrote so many books and had founded one of the largest Spiritist centers in Brazil. He came to the United States in 2009. He and his wife stayed at our for, for a few days, and he had so much wisdom. And in this interview, when you read it, it's gonna tell us about how to sort out this encounter with one another. Because we always co-create together. We're not talking about children only. We're talking about life. It's not only about co-creating, having children. For those who are married or were married or remarried, the question is, what are we co-creating with our spouse beyond our children? What are we co-creating? Because I see people who fall in love, get together, get married, have children, and then later they're like, why are we together again? And they are, and we're not talking about anything related to divorce. We're talking about what do we do with ourselves? Do you think God put us together simply to enjoy sex, having family, seeing children grow, and then now we're old, we don't know what to do with it? shows how materialistic we are. Because we can only have fun when we're physically young and when there is immediate gratification. It shows how primitive we still are because we're still in the sensation level. And Mentor Joseph, because often we live in a bubble, sometimes he says, Vanessa, you have to watch some series on Netflix or Prime Video just to understand a little better how some people think. Well, as a psychologist, we study about the mind of people. Spiritism we do too. In neuroscience we do too. And yet he said, we need to understand how people are working it. So I watched this seasons of White Lotus. I don't know if you watched it, but it's a little interesting. And the way people, they don't need to be queens, kings, prince and princesses. To look at people and match because of physical attraction, because of money, because of power, because of influence, and the plots they create on the behind the scenes just to keep what they, and how they trade their inner harmony for very passing things. And it's all about sensation. So there is a moment in which it shows the scene, and I'm gonna say this because if we don't talk about it, we're never gonna change. People using technology to watch porn. During the pandemic, pornography escalated. And people think, "Ah, but I'm just watching it. I'm just seeing it. I'm not paying anybody to do it." Actually, in Spiritism, using that creative force to find pleasure through somebody else, whether they are virtually or not, we're connected. And the sex industry is powerful, is immense. And unfortunately, in this year's Oscar, we crowned a movie trying to decriminalize sex. We don't use sex. We're not judging the sex workers. We're raising awareness on the people who are using that to make a living. And we are evaluating the people who are consuming it. Because the destruction of the workers, the sex workers' lives, we become co-responsible for that. If you think it's too much, it's not. When we go to the book, No Solar, we learn that André Luiz, the spirit doctor, when he discarnates, suddenly he's in an area of the spiritual hospital helping, and he sees this woman who is in the spiritual realm. She discarnated, she's blind, she's suffering. And when he sees her, he recalls when he was a teenager in his family's house, he had this sexual thing with the housekeeper who was quite young. What is it? Casual. And later, by talking to her in the spiritual realm, she didn't recognize him at that point. But he recognized and he heard the story of her life, how it changed after he was with her. tragedy. And people tend to think everything's so casual. We just have an encounter physically, but also virtually. And the lives of people that we are watching, they are changing according to our mental connections. Marilyn Monroe discarnated, fully obsessed, because she played with this power of creativity, attracting through her beauty. She wanted people to go crazy thinking about her. She went crazy with that much input into her mental field. Oh, I want to be beautiful. You don't know what you're talking about. Because beauty, like money and power and everything else, we're seeing power. It's blinding. If God didn't give it to us the way we wanted, because everybody's beautiful, but if it's not the beauty that we wanted, thank you, God, because I would lose myself again, probably commit suicide and homicide. So we're learning that in previous lives we were there. Like Richard Simonetti said, we used it. Like, oh, I'm flirting with a married man and we reciprocate. Is it okay for us to be together? And Richard Simonetti, according to Spiritism, says that is a blatant disregard of others. And then it goes on. This is just a teaser. You can read it at home. It's very interesting. And then later, Divaldo Franco will lead us into more of the understanding of this use of our creative forces. So, where are we in that regard? What do we do when we feel that need to create, to co create with God? And what do we do? Freud said something, discovered something that we in Spiritism vouches. We learn to sublimate. Sublimate is not repression, it's transformation. Use this creative force that God gave to us to co create, or we perish. Many people go through a depression because they haven't learned how to rechannel this co creative force to the good. It's either for sex or they don't know what to do with it. That's why the arts are so important. Because the arts, any type of art, allow us to channel, to sublimate it more easily into any art form. Writing, physical activity, like working out physically, it's a way to rechannel that. So that's why for kids and teens, we push them to sports, to physical activities, especially teens, because if they are engaged, they will less likely, lose themselves in that volcano of forces that are boiling up and they are learning how to handle. So sports, physical activity in general, art, but no matter our age, we all have it inside of us. And what are we doing with that? Because our 9 to 5 duties don't make the cut. Usually, Many people are going to start feeling sick here and there. You know why? These are the energy, the co-creative energy is clogging our system. And then we start falling sick. Freud used to see cases of this nature, especially women, because of the repression of the times. He would see women there who started having some physical pain, physical ailments, and on the behind the scenes, what was that? The co-creative force, he called it the sexual force that was being repressed. Isn't that interesting? So we need to learn to re-channel it, to sublimate it, so we avoid problems, even physical ones. We're creating. I wake up and I need to co-create. That doesn't mean I'm going to Tinder and find somebody. Or some couples, right? They argue like, oh, because I want it, you don't want it. Oh my gosh. Hello, we need to find common ground, right? It's a conversation people don't want to talk about, but we need to talk about because it's what defines our society. At the end of the day, behind any powerful people, there is somebody who doesn't know how to balance their co-creative abilities. And then they need to be authoritarian. They don't know how to sublimate it for the benefit of everyone. So we need every day to ask, how am I using this co-creative? How am I? One of the books that we asked Divaldo Franco about is about book Sex and Destiny that Andrea Lewis wrote through Chico Xavier. And we asked, love and sex, that's the sentence in the book. Love and sex imprint natural responsibilities on the consequences of each one. And nobody hurts another person in their affected treasures without painful reparations. That's the preface that Emmanuel wrote to the book Sex and Destiny. So Divaldo Franco says something that is quite interesting. Every time we elect the adoption of affectivity and we recur to the action of sex for the exchange of sensations and emotions, we experience freedom in regard to the behavior adopted, given the impositions of progress and universal laws of attraction and affinity. In light of these exchanges come the responsibilities of respect for others and loyalty and dedication to them as a result of this decision. However, each time when we hurt others' feelings, victimized by the impositions of our ego, we acquire moral debts. Because we hurt their feelings, we are then called to painful reparations as a natural effect of our unfortunate behavior for those who have become. Of course, we're talking about relationships here, but in the book Sex and Destiny, there is a moment in which André Luiz goes to a specific department, an institute, where it's fully dedicated to treat and educate people on the creative force of sex. And there we learn statistics. They have a department of complaint. Oh my gosh. Our names there, Bernie James. From previous lives to these lives, they say there's a department where people complain about us. They say, oh, they did this to me. They give statistics about how many of us actually reincarnate and succeed in overcoming those conditions. Unfortunately, it's not very high, less than like 30 some percent of us. Many repeat or stay stagnant, and some people even worsening the case, like they keep really going back to those sexual addictions that existed. And with the advent of Technology, it's not helping us much, right? In that sense, because it becomes so much easier for us to interact in that way. So we need a lot of sexual education. That's what they do there. They have several courses, and he gives the names of the courses. So the good news is we can educate it and we can treat it. We learn, that's how we are reincarnated. And that's okay. But now we're learning this to have a little kindness towards ourselves, because usually when we touch this topic, it's almost even children who hear about this, or teens, pre-teens, they're like, don't want to talk about, don't want to talk about. Why is it such a taboo? Because that's one of the main areas of our lives where we have been incurring in the same mistakes time and again. So we need a little compassion towards ourselves. So let's get back to the message that opened this session, Emmanuel 107 from the book Our Daily Life. He says here, and sometimes that's how we behave towards ourselves. Oh, I'll help this man, but he's an addict. And we say the same about ourselves. Yes, I would like this, but I don't deserve it. So where's our compassion? We can't give compassion if I don't have compassion. So he says at the very end to us as a remedy. The gospel does not refer. Jesus' good news comes not to say false compassion, full of illusions and demands. No, but it says to assist with joy, to look at ourselves with kindness, with joy, to look at us and say, I know why you did this. You didn't know what you're doing for sure. Because if we knew, we wouldn't have done. If we literally knew the consequences, as Divaldo Franco was saying, consequences, certainly we wouldn't have. So we didn't know. Oh, but Vanessa, come on. Does that result? No. But now we know. And we're learning. Have you ever looked at yourself? I know people, when I say look at the self in the mirror, they say it's too hard. But have you ever felt about yourself like, when you see a child walking, isn't that a joy? I see in parents' eyes the joy, like, oh my gosh, they are walking. It's psychologically so powerful. It's what makes us human. From being on four paws to standing up. So when a child goes from crawling to walking, it's a major event. And that joy of seeing that progress. Have you ever looked at yourself in that way? Saying, good job. Now you know that that is not a good thing. And you are working on it. Have you ever told yourself to? To be kind to ourselves, to be joyful and say, I admire you that you are not going back to your old self where you would simply abandon the family just to live your pleasures. Good job. Now you know responsibility, telling yourself. Now you're learning to be a family person. Now you're learning to be considerate. That's so beautiful for other people. When we used our creative forces, many women, when we were women in the past, how many of us had children just to appease the husband, just to tell everybody, here it is. And here, somebody in our family, so I can go back to my affairs. Because we think only men did that. No, no, women did too. Got married because they had to get married, but they had their affairs. And sometimes they had children because they said, you know what, that's the only way people are going to shut up. I know many stories of this. And they're going to say, here, a child with you, so you know we're together. You don't need to worry about me, but I can go to my affairs. Hopefully, in this life, we're like, great, I'm not no longer doing this. I am no longer abandoning. I'm no longer betraying. And even in this life, if for anybody over the internet or here, it happened in this life, remember, now we know. So where is two questions today? Huh? One, where is our co-created power? How are we learning to sublimate it? By co-creating in harmony. For example, when you go home, the art of organizing a house, because we talk about art and people think, I don't know how to play the piano. I don't know how to paint. But there is an art. If you watch Mary Kondo on Netflix, Mamma Mia, the way she folds her clothes. I've tried over the years. I transformed all of our drawers in her method, but I tell you, over time, I say, may I have to watch it again, the way she folds it. It's an art. Folding in such a way that you keep everything in order. Easy for you to get things out without messing up. Huh?
What is the name?
Mary Kondo, Kondo. She's a Japanese
Oh, yeah.
organizer. And she's amazing. So there is an art in doing that. When you open your pantry and it's so organized, it's an art too. That's a way to channel all that here. And for the brain, when you organize your environment, it organizes the mind. You know why? Aldous Huxley used to say that our brain captures everything that is in the environment. And when we are well, our nervous system knows how to shut down the things we don't need to pay attention to. So we focus on what we need. It's a lot of energy to do it. So if this environment has a lot of stimuli, it's a lot of work for them. So some people are exhausted. You know why? Because they have a lot. Even though, let's think about your workplace, your desk, your office, your corner, wherever it is. You go home, but that image is in your brain, it's in your mind. If it has a lot of stimuli there, you have to hold on to that image, and the brain has to refine itself not to go crazy about processing every stimuli. So the less you have, the better for your mental processing. Some people are drained because if there is one space, they have to have something there. You have to put pictures in all the walls. You have to fill each space with something. But what they don't know is that they are cluttering their mind. And the processing of it is draining our energy. So learning how to manage our environment is an art. To declutter, to organize. Observe your children every year from one end of school to the beginning of another. I change Virginia's everything. The disposition, we go through the drawers, the closet, and everything. Same. New year, new beginning, new life. The science of renewal, says Emmanuel. Go there, change, declutter, always donate. And I remember one day, Mentor Joseph said, Vanessa, go there and fix that desk. Oh, but she's at school, she's not going to participate. You see the change. When she came back, she had greater disposition to do her homework. Just refining the organization of her desk. Sometimes because they cannot regulate themselves yet. Their prefrontal cortex is not like ours, our maturity level. We need to be the organizers for them, leading them into organization. Oh, but they are ready teams, but they are still learning, and we're still facilitating it. So there is an art also in organizing things at work, at home. There is an art also when we study spiritist books, talking about studying. I know we are always on social media, but if you take this home, plan. You have 2 weeks until the next book. 2 weeks to go through this. A good system, huh? Organizing. Read an article a day. You don't have to, like, oh my gosh, desiccate every word. But at the end of every one, write a sentence about the take home message. It's a system. You create a system, you achieve a goal, you organize yourself. It's a way we're sublimating that co creative force to learn as well. So, to finalize, I'll give a true story about Chico Xavier and Divaldo. 2008, in Baltimore, Maryland, when the Spiritist Society of Baltimore was turning 10 years, we had an event. Divaldo Franco came, and in workers meeting in the center, we have it recorded. He shared with us how Chico Xavier channeled his co-creative force to do what he did. He didn't get married voluntarily. He cared for his nephews, nieces, his family. He really did. He was a family person. And imagine the amount, especially because he was a healing medium too, how much creative force he had in him. How did he not lose himself like other mediums did, like John of God? He lost himself. Why? Because he didn't want to study Spiritism. He was proud to say he was Catholic, though he had Spiritist work against him. Chico Xavier, on the contrary, he had discipline. But Emmanuel taught him, he said, talk to yourselves, especially the reproductive cells. Talk to them. literally. Talk to them, and then Chico Xavier would talk and say, can you guys please bring all this vitality to my brain so I can channel life for the benefit of everybody? He did that daily, daily. Divaldo Franco did the same because he learned with Chico. Emmanuel taught Chico Xavier. Chico Xavier taught Divaldo Franco, and he taught us. So talk, men and women, because we think only men feel that. No, no, women too. And then we start having dreams. Don't blame yourself. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, how come I'm married and I dreamt? So you're gonna hurt yourself, punish yourself. If your child, let's say teenager, comes to you and says something, oh, I dreamt of this, you're gonna punish them? No. We're gonna educate them, say, it's normal. It's a sign that you need to deal with that volcano inside, volcano of life. That's not only to be used for sex, it's for co-creation of life. So rechannel it consciously, doing exercises, no matter what you do, but do it.
So how much concentration and effort? This simple thing like fix your bed.
There's an art. I remember, oh my gosh, my mom, she made us make our bed, the kids, every morning. But it wasn't like we allow our children to do anyway. No, no. You had to do specific folding at the corners. And it had to be symmetric. And it had, oh my Lord, or else. But we're thankful because that discipline brought us to where we are. Sometimes we're like, oh, that's too much. No, no. Chico Xavier learned with Emmanuel. If you want to succeed, discipline, discipline, discipline. But not this rigid discipline. It's just like with love. Look what Emmanuel said, with contentment, with joy, compassion. So today we're going to go home and be compassionate towards ourselves, okay? Don't be harsh. Don't allow that negative self-talk to stay there. I'm so stupid. I'm so dumb. Don't do this because God created us. When we say that, we're insulting God. We're saying, you're stupid because you don't know what you did. We can't. We need to love ourselves and to be so loving and caring that we're going to educate ourselves through the process of this, how to stimulate ourselves to rechannel, sublimate all of it in good works for everybody. Starting at home, at work, in our communities, everywhere we go. So this is the final message. You have the whole magazine for your delight and to help. And if your children or team want to learn it, this is for every spirit, okay? They're interested. When we say sex, we shouldn't be yucked, okay? It has to be natural. For parents of teens, that's how Mentor Joseph is telling us to do with the teens. Like I do with Regina, sit down here. We're gonna watch this program. But mom, no, no, we're gonna watch it because your friends are gonna talk about it. I wanna talk about it. Sit down here. See that scene? Yes, this guy is doing this with this girl with this guy, or this other guy with the other guy, girl with girl. So how do we make sense of it? Oh no, can't watch. Okay, they're gonna watch with friends. We better have an open door here. There's nothing bad about it. It has to be natural. Natural. Of course, we're not gonna put whole sexual scenes for them to watch because, I mean, nobody should be watching that. But we skip it, fast forward, say, you know what happened there, whatever. If it's not their age yet, don't need to talk about it exactly yet. But you say, you see the way they did it, one night stand. What is this? And then the consequence. Fast forward to the movie, the consequence, you see? There are consequences. This is one of the main things we need to teach our children. Reaction. There is a reaction. And as we said to them last week, inside that room, nothing related to this topic, but we said a minor action can have great consequences. We learned it here with Daisy last week. We learned it side with Kardec. Kardec decided one day, a friend said, come and see the spirit phenomena. Our lives changed. The day he decided to watch it, his life changed, our lives changed, and humanity is changing for the better. One decision. So let us meditate on this as we prepare ourselves for the passes. Shall we, friends? Okay, let's everybody use our co-creative forces to help one another. Let us feel the joy of the good spirits here with us. The spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists. Their loving embrace, their care, enveloping us. In their wisdom, enveloping us in healing molecules. Let us breathe in and out, visualizing their light enveloping us in strength and healing. Let us help one another as we feel the presence of the spirit doctors here, whom in the name of Jesus envelop us in their loving, healing energies. Let us breathe in and out and accept without hesitation, knowing that everyone in our lives shall also receive it. So let us all help one another, visualizing. Visualizing the loving and kind, beloved spirit friends, doctors who work with Jesus and are bringing to us the energy medicine for the mind and the bodies. Let us visualize Jesus, who is our best friend, Jesus who loves us, who governs the earth and is counting on us to fulfill his loving plan. Let us visualize Master Jesus giving us strength and protection. Okay, final round. Sleepy round. Sleepy round. Bring everybody. It's the sun. Yeah, always. You want to say hi? You can see it. And so chair. One chair. Yeah. What's the Well, let's think of Jesus. Jesus is our best friend. Jesus is our best friend. And he's coming to give us new life. Let us feel the presence of Master Jesus and Mother Mary, who love our family so dear, visualizing all of our homes, being enveloped in the light of their love, in their protection, in their kindness. Let us express the gratitude for this and feel their loving presence. Só você me come. Hold on, hold on. Yes.
Now, beloved friends, feeling much gratitude to God, close our eyes and unite our hearts in prayer. Beloved Mother, Father God, thank you for allowing each and every one of us to be co-creators with you. We love you for the divine creative force you have given us, for having entrusted us with the ability to be mediums of your love in both realms. Beloved God, united with you, we pray for everyone who feels forsaken, who feels abandoned, who feels saddened or hopeless. May we receive the visits of your envoys of compassion, mercy, and love, feeling your embrace and being invited for a new beginning as children of your love. We also pray for our brothers and sisters living in areas of conflict so that they are visited by our beloved Prince of Peace. We pray as well for all schools, all hospitals, all refugee camps on earth so that they are surrounded by your peace. And we ask for permission to visualize the United States of America immersed in your love. And from the brain of the world, we visualize bridges of hope, friendship, and fraternity, forming and embracing all nations on earth. Trusting your guidance and your love, dear God, we now ask you to finalize these moments of prayer, feeling much gratitude to the mentor spirits here present as well. And so be it.